shocker of a week for Meghan following the release of her Netflix series. This was the reaction on Gogglebox.
Meghan as in Meghan Markle.
That's the one.
I don't like her.
Seriously, I don't know who the target audience for this thing is. And by thing, I'm not referring to her, I'm referring to the program. I'm not sure who the target audience is. I can promise you, Andrew, that it's not me.
Morning, I pick beautiful flowers from my beautiful garden and I feed them to my beautiful children. So what if you haven't got a f***ing garden? I haven't really got any f***ing children.
What if I told you that Meghan Markle's big comeback wasn't just a misstep? It was a meltdown, a glossy Netflix show, a lifestyle brand, a second act worthy of a Hollywood queen, all derailed by one stunning truth. The audience no longer believes her. Behind the soft lighting and designer kitchens, something felt off. Behind the beeswax candles and monogrammed jam jars, something rang false. And now, Netflix's co-CEO Greg Peters, who rarely steps into creative messes, has stepped in and shut it down. Today, we unpack the glittering failure of With Love Meghan, the internal chaos it unleashed at Netflix, and what it says about the unraveling of one of the most overexposed brands in modern media. When Meghan Markle announced With Love Meghan, she wasn't just launching a show, she was launching a statement. The Duchess had traded tiaras for teacups, palaces for Pinterest, and was ready to dominate the lifestyle space with her own California-branded elegance. The concept was ripe for success, an intimate, uplifting glimpse into a woman finding peace after palace drama. Netflix bought in hard. They envisioned another cultural juggernaut, Oprah meets Martha Stewart with a royal twist. But when the show dropped, the reception was cold. Critics didn't see grace or vulnerability. They saw a painfully staged production trying to sell a fantasy. What was meant to feel warm felt forced. What was marketed as personal felt commercial. The result wasn't just disappointment, it was rejection. Inside the set, Meghan ruled like a duchess. Reports claim she micromanaged everything, approving fonts, adjusting camera angles, inspecting cake decorations, and even choosing background music note by note. Production insiders said nothing left the editing room unless Meghan had personally signed off. But that obsession with detail came at a cost. Viewers described her on-screen presence as lifeless, mechanical, even robotic. She smiled at the right times, cried on cue, and offered reflections that sounded like press releases rather than heartfelt insights. The vulnerability she claimed to offer was filtered through so many layers of self-protection, it vanished. Instead of feeling like they were in Meghan's world, audiences felt like they were sitting through a brand presentation. The show became a masterclass in emotional distancing, ironically from someone trying to seem more human. The setting was straight out of a lifestyle dream. Bees buzzing in handcrafted hives, rustic wooden tables set for garden brunches, and a farmhouse that oozed cozy luxury. But one by one, the illusions unraveled. The bees weren't hers. The house wasn't hers. Even the casual friends were carefully curated industry acquaintances. Meghan fed chickens in full glam. She picked flowers in a cashmere sweater. She made jam like she was preparing for a Vogue shoot. It wasn't just unrealistic, it was insulting. Viewers weren't getting a behind-the-scenes look. They were being fed a Pinterest board on steroids. What was supposed to be raw felt rehearsed. What was pitched as honest came off like a sales pitch. Audiences didn't feel closer to Meghan. They felt manipulated by her. The critical reception wasn't just bad, it was catastrophic. On Rotten Tomatoes, With Love, Meghan limped in with a 33% critic score. The audience response? A devastating 20%. Comment sections overflowed with words like narcissistic, preachy, and artificial. Test audiences reportedly cringed throughout entire scenes. One reviewer called it the emotional equivalent of drinking warm milk through a paper straw. It wasn't that Meghan was unlikable, it was that she seemed unknowable. The person on screen wasn't someone viewers could relate to or root for. Instead, they saw someone trying desperately to control her image, while failing to tell a compelling story. The ratings didn't just measure failure, they measured disconnect, and no PR campaign could spin those numbers into success. Behind closed doors at Netflix, panic was building. Executives were watching a once-hyped project hemorrhage money and goodwill. Viewership numbers were plummeting. The show's completion cost had ballooned from $12 million to over $18 million, thanks to constant rewrites and Meghan's micromanagement. Staff morale was low, but the final straw came when co-CEO Greg Peters, a man known for staying miles away from creative debacles, walked into the situation. He personally reviewed the analytics, the focus group data, and the PR fallout. His verdict was swift. Despite a second season already being filmed, Peters pulled the plug. No more edits, no rebranding. no salvaging, it was over. In the Netflix world, where decisions often take weeks, this one came down fast and final. Meghan's show wasn't just dead, it was buried. According to insiders, Meghan was devastated by the cancellation. Blindsided, she scrambled to save the project, reportedly calling Netflix execs, pointing fingers at the marketing team, and alleging that her vision had been sabotaged. She claimed the show was misunderstood, that it needed time to connect with audiences. She suggested that cultural bias might have played a role. She accused Netflix of failing to promote it properly, but the truth was, executives had already moved on. The brand damage was irreversible. The partnership, once described as a $100 million power alliance, now looked like a cautionary tale. Meghan's calls went unanswered, and the silence from Netflix wasn't indifference. It was a verdict. Inside Netflix and across the entertainment industry, With Love Meghan is now whispered about with the kind of discomfort reserved for truly legendary failures. Veteran producers called it an impossible environment. Scripts were rewritten not for story, but for brand tone. Edits weren't guided by pacing, but by optics. Meghan didn't want collaborators. She wanted loyalists. The term moral dilemma began circulating in production circles. If you pushed back, you were shut out. If you complied, the show collapsed. In the end, the product didn't serve the story. It served the ego, and when that happens, the audience always knows. The glossy surface couldn't hide the cracks, and viewers saw right through them. There's something tragic about watching someone lose the very thing that made them compelling. Meghan once had a unique connection with the public, a blend of elegance, vulnerability, and defiance. But over time, that persona calcified. The smile stayed, but the sincerity faded. In With Love Meghan, audiences hoped to see the real woman behind the headlines. Instead, they got a curated corporate version. The disconnect became glaring. The more she tried to appear humble, the more she came across as self-obsessed. People didn't hate her, they just stopped trusting her. And in the world of streaming, trust is everything. Without it, even the most beautiful content becomes background noise. Meghan's show was meant to be the launchpad for her next big venture, a lifestyle brand called American Riviera Orchard. Think jams, candles, florals, and home goods. An empire in the making. But from the start, it was chaos. The name changed without explanation. The trademark wasn't secured. Promotional jars were sent to celebrities without product lines to back them up. Legal experts laughed. Branding consultants winced. The rollout had no cohesion, no vision, no strategy. And then, worst of all, it became tied to the failure of With Love Meghan. The jams stopped being cute, it became cringe. The lifestyle brand went from high-end to high-risk. And now, it's in limbo, still unreleased, still unclear, and still haunted by a show that was supposed to make it shine. Once upon a time, Meghan Markle had the world's ear. Today, she's struggling to keep its attention. With Love, Meghan didn't just flop. It stripped away the mystique. It revealed a woman chasing control in a world that rewards authenticity. Netflix dropped her. Spotify ghosted her. Hollywood is whispering, not courting. The lifestyle brand is stalled. The reinvention has failed. And the question isn't just what's next, it's who still cares. In an industry where one bad show can reset your reputation, Meghan's brand has been reset to zero. And unless there's a genuine shift, not another curated attempt, the audience that once rooted for her may not be coming back. Meghan Markle's story was once about a woman finding her voice. But with Love, Meghan became a story of losing it in a sea of brand deals, PR polish, and Pinterest-perfect scenes. This wasn't a show, it was a cautionary tale. And the message is clear. The crown may glitter, but without real connection, it crumbles. If you enjoyed this breakdown, give it a thumbs up, subscribe to Daily Exposé for more deep dives into celebrity stories, and share your thoughts below. Until next time, remember, real always beats perfect.